What is up, Squared Nation? Welcome back to No Counters, No Combos, and today we're back in the battle chamber. We have David on our right playing Bardock's crew, and I'm on the left playing Set 7 Burn Gohan. David's going to start by charging a Baby Ape, passing turn. I'm going to go ahead and draw for turn, charging my first energy here, which is a Legic. And if you don't know what this leader does, basically he's a burst 2, and then you and your opponent take 1 life and add it to your hand. So you could basically burn your opponent down to about 4. You can continue going on your side if your opponent has more than 4 life. So, for example, like if I got to 3 life and my opponent had 5 life, I could still burn them down from 5 to 4. You can't burn them past 4 though. So basically, I'm just gonna go ahead, burn and pass turn. David's gonna draw. He's gonna charge a 5-drop Bardock Ape. He's going to go ahead and swing. Bardock is a leader from Clash of Fates that we got back in the day. He's a burst 2 leader on swing. If you have a Bardock's crew in the drop area, you get plus 5k, so he'd be a 15k swing, and he does get to draw a card when he attacks. Unfortunately, David didn't burst any Bardock's crew into the drop area, so it's just 10k to my leader. I'm going to go ahead and take that damage. He's going to go ahead and tap 1 for this Goku here. Basically, this Goku is an activate main. He could put him at the bottom of the deck to get a 1-drop Bardock's crew from the drop area back to the hand. So it's pretty nifty. If you mill off your stuff with a burst leader, you're able to get them back if you want to go ahead and continue your strategy. So he's going to pass turn to me. I'm going to go ahead and charge E Supreme Kai. I know in my deck profile that I did on YouTube, I was playing Champas, but I actually got a foil playset of the Supreme Kais in the mail before the tournament, and I decided to just play it just for the lulz, and it's a shiny card, so why not? We're going to go ahead and free play Legic, though, and activate my leader skill to burn, allowing me to play Bardock the Resolute. Legic is an older card from set 2. It basically, if your opponent controls a battle card and you don't control any, you could free play him. He's Cyber Dragon for you Yu-Gi-Oh players. We are going to go ahead and tap 1 to play Trunks. I'm going to swing, take a life, go up to 15k crit to my opponent's leader, which is going to put me in Awakening range at 4 life. Bardock the Resolute does come into play for free from hand if your leader is red when your opponent takes damage by a skill. So my burn skill, playing Bardock for free, is really nice. David's going to go ahead and combo out of that 15k damage from Trunks with the Zamasu super combo, resting my Bardock the Resolute, which is going to allow him to rival his Draft Box 6 Bardock. I'm going to go ahead and free play Tao because I have 3 non-black or non-token battle cards on the board. I could free play him from the hand. He'll be 15k critical for the turn. We're going to awaken, draw 2 cards, swing at lead, 15k crit to 10. It doesn't look like David's going to negate that. He does have a blocker up. We're going to go ahead and super combo with Bulma here to draw a card. And just going to make it 25k crit. David's going to go ahead and take that. And that damage looks to have been an Obuni. So I'm going to go ahead and leader swing, sparking 5, auto draw, which is very nice. You know, it's one of those old school leaders, auto draw sparking 5. He is going to take that damage. We're going to go ahead and overwhelm Awaken Instincts Bardock. Draw 2, discard 1. We're going to discard Beerus Godly Majesty. So you can kind of see where like my thought process was behind this deck. It's just a lot of stuff for free, basically. And I just want to try to get as many swings on the board as possible. So we are going to go ahead and turn sideways with Beerus, 15k to 10k. You got to be careful with blue because of Senzu Bean. Senzu Bean is literally your worst enemy here because they can turn their leader into a permanent 20k for the turn. Then you kind of just have to combo up on your 15ks. And it's not a real good time. So you do have to be careful with blue leaders. But aside from that, you're basically swinging like, 6 times per turn with 15Ks, which is nice. So we are going to go ahead and, as you can see, he does Zamasu super combo out, resting my Bardock. And because my last attacker was rested, I'm going to go ahead and end turn. I still do have an energy open, which is nice for defensive purposes. David's going to untap, draw. He's going to charge a red armband, which is a great card. It's essentially a draw 4, untap 1. In Bardock's crew, which is really nice, but it looks like he's gonna debate on whether to charge that card or not, because it might be something that he needs in the future. I really do like Bardock's crew. I think it's very, very slept on. Me and David were having conversations as the game was going on. I really do think that it can be a really good deck if it's built properly. The only problem is there's so many different ways to build it. And then it really just comes down to, are you trying to play a thematic deck? Or are you trying to play like a good stuff deck? So I think that's going to be I have a list that I'm working on. Eventually, I'll go ahead and share it with you guys and show some gameplay of it. But for the most part, I really do think that it could be like a rogue strategy. David's going to go ahead and swing with his 19k Bardock. I'm going to go ahead and Violent Raise and call battle cards, so he can't swing at me with battle cards at 20k or more for the rest of the turn. So he really only has his leader attack left. And the great thing about Violent Raise, it actually negates the attack that's coming in. It's not like Dormant where you activate the counter skill and it doesn't negate the attack, so your opponent just goes really tall. Violent Raise actually does negate the attack. So he's going to go ahead and tap 2 to evolve from energy on the 5-drop Ape, which is a really nice card because once he's played, he draws a card, and then at the end of the turn, he can go ahead and replace the energy that he evolved onto. So Bardock, the Bardock leader is an untapped 2 leader, which is nice, but David only has 1 energy in rest mode, so he's probably not going to get full value off that Awaken, and he does want to burst too, so you got to be careful. You don't want to Awaken too early and not have enough cards in your drop area so you can start, fishing stuff out. He is going to go ahead and burst 2, still not hitting a Bardock screw in drop area. Does get to draw a card off the swing though, but this is only a 10k attack into my 15k Legic. He's not going to combo up on this, so he's just going to end it there. And there's really not much he could do for the rest of his turn here because I did Violent Raise. So I guess we'll just kind of see how this plays out, waiting for him to proc his end of turn procedure with the 5-drop Ape, and then we're just going to go ahead and continue with our turns here. So let's just see exactly. I think he's debating whether or not to Awaken or not. You're not really going to get full value because you're only at 1 tapped energy, but it might be beneficial for him to Awaken, but not really. He's going to untap his Bardock blocker. He's going to ramp with the 5-drop and then draw 2 with the 4-drop, which is insane. That 19k blocker is disgusting. It draws you 2 cards at the end of your turn. I'm going to go ahead and untap everything and, restand, draw a card for turn. I got to go to charge here, charge my 3rd energy. And as you can see, like, my board is nice. Like, I have a nice board, but again, you're playing against blue, and not only blue, but you're playing Bardock's blue. So there's a lot of blockers. He's got 2 blockers on the board. He's not Awakened just yet. He does have Sparking 5 and drop for Dimension Magic if he really wants to. So it's not one of those things where you just turn sideways and hope for the best. Like you kind of really have to try to bait certain things out because it could be a bad time. Blue is probably the worst matchup for this type of deck just because they can mitigate the damage they're taking just with 1 sense of being like, yeah, you're going super wide and you're putting an uncomfortable amount of attacks on board. But the fact that your opponent can just with 1 card literally answer your 15k aggression is kind of crappy, But we're going to go ahead and see what we can do. So we're going to go ahead and Resolute, and he drops the fattest Baby Hatch. I did misplay. I could have restood Resolute on that counter activation, but it doesn't matter. I can't attack for the rest of the turn anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. I'm going to go ahead and free play 2 Videl blockers, giving me a total of 3 defensive blockers on board with all of my energy open in case I need to pull off any type of shenanigan. But yeah, Baby Hatch is just really good. So he's going to go ahead and charge his 4th energy here, being a Gine from Battle Evolution, which is great because now he can go ahead and utilize his energy. He's going to go ahead and tap 2 for the Uni, which is going to allow him to, I believe it's a +1 or once per turn, scry 5 or look at top 5 for a Bardock's crew added to hand. It's a +1 effect. So he's going to go from 2 to 3. And the good thing about his leader being an Awaken untapped 2 is basically he played his Unison for free. So not only is he adding a card to hand, that's Bardock's crew, he has his God Sealing turned on, and he can now Awaken and untap 2 more energy to go ahead and play a threat on 4, or he can go ahead and just make extensions on his plays. I mean, he's got a really nice board setup. He's got a 40k attacker with Baby Hatch. He's got a 20k double striker with a 5-drop Bardock. He's got a 19k attacker with the 4-drop multicolor blue-yellow Bardock. So it's a really nice board setup so far. He's going to go ahead and Awaken, untap 2. Or he's not going to at this instance. Let's see what he decides to do here. Yeah, he's going to attack just to get more bursts in the drop area. Attack my leader, burst 2. He's finally got a couple of Bardock's crews in the drop, so he's going to be a 15k swing. I am going to go ahead and probably block that attack. I'm waiting for... there's no blocks there. No, there's no blocks. He's going to Awaken untap 2. So his swing is now 20k. So I'm going to go ahead and super combo up to 25 with the Raditz. Bottom deck 1, draw 2, and survive. The nice thing about Bardock when he's awakened is if you have Sparking 5, you draw when you attack and you get 5k. So he's a 20k swing every time as long as you have a Bardock screw and drop area. But he also has a really nice auto. Basically, when your opponent attacks you, you can crit a life to negate the attack. And it's not a counter skill. It's part of the auto. So if there's any type of, counter disruption or counter, doesn't really hit that skill because it's part of the auto, which is really nice. You probably don't really get to use that skill as often as you think, but having that built-in pseudo negate, so to speak, on a leader is really nice. So he is going to go ahead and bottom deck the Goku to add one from drop area. He still has his baby hatch on the attack there. I did go ahead and violent raise, so he couldn't attack me with the baby hatch. He still has his unison swing, and he could still swing with the 19k blocker there. So we're gonna see how this pans out. Swing 15k to lead. He's gonna swing into Resolute. So let's see here. I do feel like this is a block coming on my turn. Like I feel like you have to protect Resolute as much as you can because he's just so much pressure. And if your opponent wants to be defensive about it, you are going to go ahead and lose that. So that might have been a misplay on my part, letting the Resolute die. Maybe I have another one in hand. He is going to go ahead and swing at me 19k. I am going to take it and go down to 3, and I'm going to push my blockers up to the front row just to kind of stay organized board state here, because essentially his turn is done, and he'll get to restand the 19k blocker at the end of the turn there. He is going to go ahead and tap, looks like 2 energy here, 1 each for Tora. So he's got a total. He's going to have a total of essentially 3 blockers on board, plus his unison skill, which is a -2 negate an attack. So he's got 4. He's got a way to deal with 4 attacks. So as you can see, even though it's nice to put that many battle cards on the board in one turn when you're playing Burn Gohan, against blue and against any type of pesky blockers and stuff like that, it's not a good time. Secret Identity Mass Saiyan would have put in so much work in this instance. As you can see, I go ahead and attempt to tap 3 out for Feeler's Pan to give all my guys double strike and 5k, but he had the God Sealing ready to go. But that's okay. We do have some follow-up plays here. Pan is literally the only card not the only card, but is one of the only cards you're going to hard cast throughout the game. Everything else has like a cheap way of playing it, whether it's Tau or Beerus getting discarded off of Bardock. So it's going to be really interesting to see here how everything pans out. So we're going to go ahead and swing with lead into leader. He's going to go ahead and block with the Tora. I'm going to draw off my auto. So that Tora is going to die. He's going to tap 1 energy to play the new 5-drop Bardock from Battle Evolution, which basically what happens is when Tora dies, when he gets KO'd, you can pay a blue to play a 5-drop Bardock's crew from your hand with its skills negated for the turn in rest mode. So you can go in literally to any target. You can go into the Ape. You can go into the old school Bardock from Clash of Fates, which is basically a 25k. Whenever he restands, your opponent bottom decks a card, which is really nice. So it just gives him playability there. 5-drop Bardock is super nice. 25k dual attack. 25k dual color. You can evolve your apes on top of. It's just a really good card in that sense. We are going to go ahead and swing with Trunks. That's going to get beamed, so Bardock's going to go up to 20k. We're going to go ahead and overwhelm for Awakened Instincts to draw 2 and pitch a Beerus to get another Beerus. Luckily, Beerus is not unique, so it's nice being able to have multiple copies of him on the board. But this is basically what the deck does. You just get a ton of value for playing battle cards for free, and you just kind of try to blow your opponent out with as many swings as possible. It just so happens that this is probably the worst matchup I'm ever going to come across with all these blockers and negates and stuff like that. So he does take the damage off of Awakened Instincts. I'm pretty sure he's sitting at 2 or 3 life. I know it's a little tough to tell with the camera angle there, but our life totals aren't much different. I'm probably sitting at 2. He's probably sitting at 3. We are going to go ahead and swing with Beerus, making it a 20k. And this is his second bean now, so his leader's a permanent 25 for the turn. This is kind of where you have to pump the brakes a little bit, because I could continue to push and be aggressive, but it's going to cost me cards. I am going to go ahead and pop 3 of my battle cards to play Belmod, which is nice because Belmont's a 20k attacker with the blocker skill, and when he comes into play, I do get to pop one of his cards. Sadly, I can't pop the 5-drop Bardock because he has barrier, but I am going to go ahead and get rid of that. As you can see, I attempt to do that there, but I can't because he has barrier. So we are going to go ahead and get rid of the Apes, which is a huge threat, being a 20k double striker. We have 4 blockers on the board. You know, we have a Belmont, 2 Videls, and a Legic. So we have ways of playing defense next turn if we need to, being tapped out. I am going to go ahead and swing that Belmont into the Bardock. David's going to block with Tora. It's another card off of his board. What can you do? But he still has 2 really big threats. He's got his 40k Baby Hatch, and he's got his 19k blocker there. So we're going to go ahead and Godly Majesty into the Unison. He's going to go down a marker to 2. We're going to go ahead and Tau into the Unison. He's going to probably go down another marker into 1 marker. And then we're going to go ahead and Legic, which is where the Dimension Magic comes in. We're going to go ahead and KO those 3 to play another Belmont, which is another nice thing about Belmont. He's also not unique. So we're going to go ahead and play this Belmont and get rid of this Bardock here, because this Bardock is not only a blocker, but he's going to draw him 2 cards at the end of every turn. So we're trying to mitigate, we're trying to mitigate damage. Obviously I am tapped out. I don't have any ways of playing defense with energy. I do have 3 blockers open. So there's a way for me to survive, being that I'm not dead in the water just yet. But anything can happen. 5 energy in blue is a crap ton. He's going to be charging his 5th energy this turn. He's got a decent-sized hand. I believe at this point in the game, if I remember correctly, he's sitting at about 9 cards in hand to my 4. So he's going to go ahead and charge a Unison, giving him 5 energy. 5 energy in blue it just feels like an infinite amount. So let's see exactly how this turn plays out for David here. So it looks like he's just kind of debating whether or not he wants to finalize charge on that Bardock Unison, because there might be something in his hand that's more worth charging, because he won't be able to use it, or he won't be able to. That's always the toughest part about this game, is knowing what to charge, and hopefully it doesn't come back and bite you with if it's a card you can play that turn. He is going to go ahead and uptick on his Unison to go to 2 markers. Look at top 5 for a Bardock's crew, adding 1 to hand. He's going to go ahead and add the Arrival 19k blocker, because that's a great card. Honestly, that card is phenomenal. Like, it's such a good card. You can make the argument, obviously, Goku Hit, being the most generic Arrival card because it's not leader specific, but this leader specific, Arrival card is really, really good. It's a nice boost for the Bardock leader, just giving him a ton of advantage with the draws at the end of the turn there. And as you can get him in as early as turn 1. Like, there's no restrictions to how early he can come into the game. So he's going to add that card to hand. But David's got a lot of different choices he can make here, with his plays. It looks like he's going to... Is he evolving? He's going to add the Ape to his hand, not the multicolor one. So he's adding the 5-drop Ape. Does he have... I don't think he has a Bardock that's 2 or higher in energy to revolve from. So we'll see how this works here. But that is a great card. I mean, he comes in, he draws you 1. He's a 20k double striker with blocker that restands at the end of the turn that you played him, and then he gets to replace the energy that you used if you played him from the energy area. So it's a really good card. That's probably why the Apes are sitting at around like $16, $17 right now a piece. Let's see what he decides to do here. So defensively, I have 3 blockers up, about 4 cards in hand. I'm pretty sure one of them might be a super combo if I remember correctly, so we'll see what happens here. Bardock is going to attack. I'm going to go ahead and block. David's going to draw a card off Leader Swing, sparking 5. 20k to my Videl. She's clearly dead. There's nothing, there's no point. There's nothing I could do to save her, nor would I do anything to save her at this point. She's just a 5k blocker. She does come in handy because she's free, but, she did her job. So we're going to go ahead and get rid of that. And he already uptick on his Unison, so that's a 15k swing there. He's going to go ahead and turn sideways with this Bardock, 25k to my Leader. I'm going to go ahead and block that with Videl, another 5k blocker his way. She's going to die, making it 25k. Now, if I'm reading the board here, I feel a little safe because I could block another attack and then, take damage if I need to on the Baby Hatch or the Unison swing. But that's also dependent on what type of, as you can see that follow-up play there. I was just going to say that all depends on the follow-up play that David can make. So he's going to go ahead and overwhelm for Fu. I think it's like Dimensional Banisher Fu, his name is. This is a very, very old card. He's an overwhelm for 1 energy. He's a 20k double striker, and when he comes in, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards, send it to the warp. So you're sending my active blocker to the warp, and then you're just going to go ahead and I'm at 2 life. You proceed to shotgun into the swing here. That's 20, 30 double strike. Let's see if he goes up any further. He's sitting at 30. Let's see if he decides to push. I have 4 cards in hand. That's 30 double strike. Is there any other combos here? 35, 40, 45, and there's the scoop. There's the sportsmanship between 2 friends, and that's basically it. I mean, what can you do? These are 2 non-top tier decks. Obviously, I'm playing the Gohan deck for fun this month, but I do credit David for thinking outside the box and playing something that he really enjoys. You can check out the Gohan deck profile on the channel if you guys are interested. I'm sure there's a ton of better cards you can play, but that's basically what it comes down to. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. We'll see you guys in the next video. Be there or be squared.